Your path to retirement isn't exactly what you think it's going to be. If you're looking at retiring early, or if you're in the retirement age, it's probably not looking like what you thought it was going to be. I mean, when I was younger, I thought I was going to retire at 45. That was my goal. I was setting up myself to kind of retire at 45. Then I became 35, and I said, shit, I got 10 years left. What am I going to do? And then I got married and had 2 kids at 30, late 35 or so. And everything changed. As we all know, when you have kids and a spouse and a family, and your priorities change and your thinking changes. Retirement for me came at 3 opportunities, and they happened to be at 55, 57, and 59. And the company I was working for, I knew retirement was coming, or I knew that something was happening because, I did IT for a major health insurance company, and they started bringing in a bunch of H-1B visa people. Mainly, they were going to be, I don't know, I'm just going to say H-1B people. I'm not going to say what nationality they are because, internet's crazy. Next thing you know, I'll be called a racist or something. But they started bringing in those people to be into the middle management to upper middle management areas, and then they started bringing them into be CIOs and things like that. And then once that happened, once those people were set, I started noticing that there were more layoffs coming. People were getting riffed, and I saw the writing on the wall. My first early retirement offer came at 55, and I said, I have 5 more years. I really can't do it right now. And I looked at my finances, spoke to my wife, and next thing you know, I stayed. And I watched my friends who took it, who were younger than me, some of them, because the criteria was you had to be employed for at least 5 years and your age had to equal 55. So a lot of people in the company I was in started working there at a very young age, and a lot of people in their early 40s and mid 40s started qualifying for this early retirement offer. So I watched them go through early retirement, and I was like, man, I should have taken it. I said, I'll take it when it comes back around. And then 2 years later at 57, I get another early retirement offer. And I'm looking at all the numbers and I'm thinking, man, it's just not going to work. I need 2 more years. I got stuck into the I need more years mentality rather than what can I do outside of this environment that I'm in. 2 years later, at 59, I get the offer again. And this is mid-year. I just turned 59. I saw writing on the wall because after each one of those retirements, they were coming up with 2,500 to 3,500 people being riffed. I thought my days were numbered. We were running on skeleton crews already to start with, and they were replacing people with H-1B visa people. So at 59, I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to get out and talk to my wife. Like I said in an earlier video, my son does wealth management and stuff like that. So I talked to him a little bit about what we could do with the money that I had in my 401k. And the numbers looked like it would be tight, but it looked like something I could do. So I went ahead and I took it. I signed the dotted line, and September last year was September 19th, I think it was, or something, was my last day. I was happy. I did it. I was happy I took the chance and had a big celebration. And then reality starts setting in about, man, I should have done this sooner, right? I should have taken it at 55. At 55, I would have had a better chance of doing some contract work or something like that to make up any difference I needed financially. But what I did at 55 was I just started plowing money into my retirement account. And I started being more aggressive about what type of funds and stuff I was in. And I built up in that 4-year period between 55 and 59, I built up a pretty good nest egg. And that was even with the markets up and down. It still came out to be a comfortable retirement, right? I'm not hurting by any means, but I'm not a rich retiree, far from. But there comes a time where you have to think about the cost, the personal cost, right? So I was working long hours. I was working overnights because all the work we had to do had to be done off hours. And I just started getting tired of that, right? I would be on call for a week every 2 months. And for that 7 days, sleep was very fleeting. We would be up all night taking care of stuff because we had people working remotely from other parts of the world that were doing, tasks and running jobs and all that stuff through the computer system. So I really wish I would have done it earlier. If you have the chance to retire early and, your money's going to go further than what you think it is in retirement because you stop spending, right? You stop doom scrolling and doom buying on Amazon at 3:00 in the morning because you can't sleep. It is an adjustment. It was an adjustment. I'm starting to adjust better, as you can see. Just enjoying the pool today. For anyone watching this video who's thinking about retiring, really get serious about what you need in retirement. Not what you want, what you need. What you can survive on and what you can have a little extra spending money on in the markets. Because the markets are going to bring you anywhere from 7 to 12% on average, and it's going to fluctuate up and down. So when you're calculating, think about that. But most of all, think about what you're doing to your body, what you're doing to your psyche, and what you're doing to your soul by possibly staying in a career you're not happy in anymore. And I was always one to say, suck it up, buttercup, and just keep working. Well, there comes a time where the buttercup melts and you're left with a puddle, and you have to kind of re-solidify that puddle. And you can't do that at the cost of yourself, and you can't do that at the cost of your psyche. So anyway, I'm not in my studio today. My studio is my office because I worked from home. I'd much rather be there, but just a thought that crossed my mind and something I thought I needed to kind of share with you guys. So anyway, that's it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.